Welcome back to the Maven Show. This is your host Rohit. Today we have Kerry, the podcast host and best-selling author. Thank you, Kerry, for getting into the show.
Oh, my pleasure to be on. Appreciate the invitation.
Would you just like to give a quick intro of yourself first, how you got started and everything?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm fourth generation entrepreneur. Grew up in a suburb outside of New York City.
Mhm.
Been working since I'm 16 years old and ready for a break. And a recovering attorney, entrepreneur, startup junkie, podcaster, media personality for the past 12 years.
What kind of lessons you have learned in podcasting from that time and how podcasting has changed from that time to this time now?
Well, when I started 12 years ago, there weren't as many podcasters, and it was definitely easier to become popular. I took a course because I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was called Podcasting A to Z with Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man, who's probably gone on to other things now. And within, I was getting a couple thousand downloads a month before I was introduced to Cliff, and right away went up to 20, 30, 40,000 downloads a month. So what I learned is that you got to be interesting, that you got to be funny, but not fake funny, and that you have to do your homework and be prepared for your guests if that's the format of your show, and that there are tons of ways to make money in this industry. Unfortunately, most people out there never do them. And that's in 9,000 episodes. I can say I've been profitable from not day one, but maybe day 100. And past few years have been banner years.
Or entrepreneurship, like there is a why and there is a what. So how you would like to explain?
Sure. Well, you got to have a why. Just to make money is not enough.
Yeah.
Money will come. I don't really like this thing that if you follow your dreams, you're going to be rich, because if you got ridiculous, unrealistic dreams, probably won't. So you got to be honest with yourself, honest about your talents, honest about the commitment you are willing to make, and throw in a dash of luck, and you just might do it. But the other thing is, of course, persistence, because without persistence, the first bad sign, first time something goes wrong, you're going to up and run. So
Yeah.
it's really essential that that you have persistence, self-honesty. You have to be able to self-correct when you
Mm.
feel like you're not doing as well as you should. You need to be able to take an honest look at yourself, determine why you're not. If you can't figure it out, you need to find somebody else who can help you figure it out, who will be honest with you. And then you've got to make changes.
Mm.
And you keep making changes, and you keep improving yourself continuously, and you do it long enough. What I have found is that eventually the universe will yield and you will accomplish your goals. But no one said it's ever going to be easy. But once you've done it once, then when you keep doing it, it should be easier as a rule. Not a guarantee, but if you succeeded once, then it should be easy to keep succeeding. But some people succeed by accident, or never give yourself the credit
Yeah.
for actual success, and then it becomes very hard to do it again. So all those things taken into account, I would say that it's really up to you, but you got to be realistic, and self-honesty is important.
How to learn from the failures if someone is just getting started and how to keep going in that.
All right. So failure is not your enemy. Failure is your friend. Failure is part of the equilibrium process of the universe. And I'm not saying to embrace your failures in the standpoint of be happy about them, but be happy that your mind's open enough and you can learn the lesson of your failure. Own your failure. Don't blame it on others. Generally people who are really successful own their successes and they own their failures. So it's your job to extract the lessons from the failure. Don't dwell on it. Don't use it as an excuse to beat you up, beat yourself up. It's not worth it. But what can I learn from this failure? If I had it to do all over again, what would you do differently? And when you start looking in those terms, the failures become stepping stones. I hate the old cliche, but Thomas Edison, when he was attempting to invent the light bulb, went through 1,000 or 10,000 different substances for the filament. And they said, aren't you frustrated? You keep failing. And he says, no, because I know every time I do one, I use new material and it doesn't work. I know I've learned that that won't work, and I get that much closer to something that will work. And I think we can all learn a lesson from that. Also, Henry Ford said, if you think you can do it or you think you can't do it, either way, you're right. It's all about mental state. It's all about mental toughness. It's all about state of mind.
Cool. And it's about persistency, consistency, for real. Yeah.
Consistency, really important. You're going to start a podcast. If you release one podcast every other week on different days, nobody, you almost certainly won't get an audience. The only way you can build a podcast audience, if you're doing a weekly podcast, you got to release at the same time, exact same moment every week. All right. Doing a daily one, same deal. And because consistency, people know, is equated with commitment. And you can't get your act together to do something consistent, people often aren't going to take you seriously.
The management, time management, and having the schedule to get going.
Yeah, time management's important. Only in the standpoint of a commitment. All right. You don't necessarily have to have every minute of your day planned out. Some people function really well that way. And if you're one of them, my hat's off to you. Myself is, I set aside a block of time. All right. During that time, I'm doing nothing but this. As far as how I work it every minute, not so much. But with all the tools available to you, digital tools, computers, calendars, email, text, everything else, you can become more organized than ever. So organization's not an excuse, and your time management will automatically become more efficient as you become more committed, more dedicated. Your time management will just fall into place.
What do you want to say about the guys like this thing, like having ideas, just an idea, but nothing built? And ideas are what, something or not?
Everything starts with an idea.
Yeah.
All right. Every business out there has started with an idea. But just having an idea is clearly not enough. You must, absolutely must act determined. All right. And that means creating a plan, focus. All right. Focus. Didn't mention that before, but being focused on the outcome, focused on your end goal is really essential. Because without focus, then you could have all the time management in the world. It's not going to do you any good. So from that standpoint, really taking action is the key. And taking action, even if you're feeling down, you don't always feel 100%. When you're building a business, it is a roller coaster. And you will have up days, but you will have as many or more down days. Key is just don't quit. Just keep doing it. And if you do that, you will eventually succeed. The odds are in your favor. No guarantees. Hey, disasters happen. The other thing is, when disasters happen, be the master of disaster. Don't be the victim of disaster. I'll give you, for instance, when COVID hit, when we had the global pandemic, sat down with a partner. I said, this is the greatest opportunity we will ever have to generate wealth. And he wasn't real sure of it, but I explained to him my perception of it. And as it turned out, I was right. It was an amazing opportunity. We succeeded like we never thought we could.
Is getting out of comfort zone a thing, like it's not you, we
Oh,
can like being as a founder, we cannot do if we are into the comfort zone.
yeah, when you start a business and you're learning new things, if you want to learn anything, you must get out of your comfort zone because it's not just going to come to you. You must devote effort and time to learn
Mm.
new things. And to succeed, you're going to have to learn new things. If you knew everything you needed already, you wouldn't need to be doing what you're doing now. You'd already be a massive success. So the key is you must be open to change, open to new things, and always have an open mind. Look, when
Mm.
people, you could talk to your friends and they'll shoot down your ideas, then you shouldn't talk to your friends about it. You need to move ahead and actually do stuff and learn new ways to help you accomplish your goals.
I have seen bunch of small business owners like fail at money management and they don't know how to manage the money. So what do you think? Like, what are the few tips into that?
Well, I've done it myself. I like to say made 5 or 6 fortunes and I've lost three and a half of them.
Uh,
Uh, Very easy to lose because A, can't let your ego get in the way. You succeeded, probably it's by your own effort, but there could be some luck involved there too. So
yeah,
never underestimate that you might have just gotten lucky. Look at living beneath your means. All
yeah,
right. Many of you out there, and myself included, uh, come into a large amount of money and you start living like there's no tomorrow. But then
mm.
tomorrow comes and you realize it's too late. You blew it all. And it's very easy to blow through
Yeah,
large sums of money. You wind up with all these friends you never knew you had, and you wind up buying frivolous items, all
yeah.
these things, which I've been guilty of, I admit. Uh, Buying things that give you pleasure is one thing, but finding pleasure in just buying things isn't going to work. It's not a strategy for building wealth. Always look to build wealth, not just income.
Equities, having investments to put money in, it's real.
Yeah, we like real estate a lot here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Um, you know, right now we're in inflationary times.
Dubai too.
Famous comedian Will Rogers once said, "Invest in inflation; it's the only thing going up." Well,
Mm.
invest in assets; their value is going to go up. Right now, it appears that inflation's becoming more subdued. Personally, I don't believe that's going to continue. I
Mm.
think we're in for generational inflationary times, and therefore, you need, as an investor, business person, how do you play the inflation cycle to make you rich, not to make you broke?
Big guys used to speak like recession is the only thing to make a wealth. What do you think? Is it?
Yeah, well, recessions are opportunities because if you have a business, many of your competitors, if you have them, will be retreating during that recession. So it's up to you to find the opportunities to build your business. All right. The best time to pick up customers is during a recession when your competitors are retreating. And the other thing is, these recessions are foreseeable. So if you have a large amount of accounts receivable, you see a recession on the horizon because the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates, pandemic, whatever it is, start bringing your money in off the street.
Mm.
Get adequate cash reserves, really important.
How to succeed in the hard time?
Well, here's the thing. You think you might know the future, but the future is always elusive. It's
Yeah.
never really knowable. Certain things I've known and I've acted on, but other times it's just a big muddy thing out there. You
Mm.
can't focus on the future. You got to focus on what you are doing now because
Mm.
that is going to directly affect your future. And just because times appear to be bad doesn't mean opportunities aren't present and abundant. You need to have an opportunity mindset, not a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Opportunities, Sun Tzu said, uh, seizing an opportunity will inevitably lead to more opportunities. And just like on the battlefield, in business, the same thing is true. You seize that opportunity, don't let it go by, more opportunities are going to come your way.
Well, thank you so much for getting into the show, Kerry. It was good to have you in and to talk about the things, getting success going into the hard times and so on. So, well, thank you so much for having in.
All right. It's an honor. Thank you, Rohit. Pleasure.